Cromwell might have attained a greater influence at court than any of his peers, but in seeking to safeguard his position at court, it was clear that he would need to cultivate other allies besides his royal master. It may have been with this in mind that Cromwell had his secretary and confidant, Ralph Sadler, moved into the privy lodgings at court. From here he could easily relay messages to and from his master, and generally keep his ear to the ground for any news or gossip that might prove of interest. Cromwell also used his protégé to curry favour with the king by delivering various gifts on his behalf. In January 1536, for example, Sadler reported that he had delivered unto his grace your lock, and opened unto him all the gins of the same, which his grace liketh marvellously well, and heartily thanked you for the same. Sadler had continued to flourish under his master's tutelage, and by the middle of the 1530s his influence was widely recognised. It was almost certainly Sadler to whom Shapis was referring in February 1536 as a secretary of his, Cromwell, who carries all the messages between the king and him. The fact that Sadler had assisted his master in the examinations of two of the most high-profile Catholic martyrs of the age, Fisher and More, brought him to the attention of the king himself. In the same year as their execution, he was appointed a clerk of the Hanaper of Chancery, a highly responsible post that involved the sealing of charters and patents and issuing certain writs under the Great Seal. Proving equal to this task, in 1536 he was named a gentleman of the King's Privy Chamber, a position that propelled him to the heart of the court. He also began his parliamentary career that year, and was returned as MP for Hindon in Wiltshire thanks to Cromwell's patronage. Cromwell had need of loyal servants such as Sadler, one of precious few men with whom he would entrust the many secrets associated with his position at court. After the humiliating episode with the king on the 21st of April, Cromwell had taken a leave of absence from court, but Sadler remained his eyes and ears there. He had much to report, for despite the king's apparent volte-face with regard to his wife and the imperial alliance, his obsession with Jane Seymour was growing more intense by the day. Jane herself was hardly a passive observer in the intrigues that now centred on her. For all her apparent placidness, she was every bit as ambitious as her brothers, and had a streak of cold ruthlessness which gave her little sympathy for Anne. Almost from the moment the king had started paying her attention, she had begun sending messages to his daughter Mary, urging her to have courage, because her troubles would soon be over. With no less audacity than her arch-rival, Jane also plotted to ensnare the king for good, employing some of the same tactics that she had seen Anne put into such powerful effect. She knew that a mistress could become a queen and was determined to follow suit. Gently rebuffing Henry's advances with a show of maidenly modesty, Jane steadfastly refused to yield her virginity. But she knew that she had to offer some encouragement, so she played the part of a woman who was constrained by propriety to give in to the passions that she secretly harboured. Thus, when, in April 1536, Henry sent her a purse of money with an accompanying declaration of love, Jane reverently kissed the letter before sending it back unopened, begging the king to consider that there was no treasure in the world that she valued as much as her honour, and on no account would she lose it, even if she were to die 1,000 deaths. She cunningly added that if her royal suitor wished to send her such a present in future, then he should wait for such a time as God would be pleased to send her some advantageous marriage. This drove Henry to distraction, and his attempts to win her heart grew increasingly passionate. Before long, his ardour for Jane had become so great that it was known throughout the court. In a striking repetition of history, courtiers now flocked to Mistress Seymour in the hope of advancement, just as they had to Anne. Henry appointed rooms for Jane next to his own in Greenwich Palace, and installed her brother Edward and sister-in-law Anne there, so that they could act as chaperones whenever the couple met. Still, Cromwell proceeded cautiously. Even though Jane's star appeared to be in the ascendant, while Anne's was fading fast, he knew Henry well enough not to hazard his career, his life even, on the king's notoriously fickle affections. Moreover, Anne was at her most dangerous when fighting for survival, like a deadly serpent cornered by predators. Her response to any threat had always been attack, not defence, and now she had Cromwell in her sights as her greatest adversary.